The first time in over a year that we have had a full capacity crowd. It's time for the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. It's this weekend and it's looking like it's going to be quite an interesting Grand Prix. Red Bull have won the last 5 races in a row. It's the first time Mercedes have gone winless for that long in the entire turbo hybrid era, isn't it, Dylan?
Yeah, it's the first time since, I don't know, 2013 or something.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since that's happened, and it's just looking like Verstappen at the moment is running away with this title. Do you think, really, over the summer break, Mercedes are going to be able to find an answer to that pace from Red Bull?
I don't think they'll find anything, so they stopped working on the car. So it's just going to stay behind. I don't think they'll do anything, unless Red Bull accidentally upgrade their car and it turns out that it was a bad upgrade, which slows down the car. That's the only way I think it can happen, just like Ferrari in 2019. Halfway through the season when they were leading and then they lost it, so that could happen, but we'll see later.
Yeah, that could happen, but to be honest, Red Bull look quite a long way ahead. I mean, Verstappen took a dominant win in last weekend's Austrian Grand Prix. He led by over 20 seconds, 30 seconds,
Yeah,
didn't he?
it was like 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, Hamilton did not do so well. He came P4 because he had damage from running a bit wide at turn 1. With Lando Norris taking another podium for McLaren, he's now a 4-time podium sitter at F1. With his teammate Daniel Ricciardo again struggling behind him, he came about P6 or something. I mean, it's still a decent result, but compared to Lando Norris, who is sitting 4th in the championship, very close to 3rd, and really getting in the fight with the top teams, he is carrying McLaren quite considerably. Do you think Ricciardo's going to stay at McLaren, or what?
He might stay for another season to see how he gets on with the new regulations next year. But if it is awfully next year, I think they might bring in maybe a Formula 2 driver, or bring up, I don't know, they might get Schumacher in. I don't know, that's probably unlikely, but it could happen. It's probably going to be a Formula 2 driver they might bring up instead, or with Ricciardo. So I don't think he's performing well yet, but we'll have to wait to see for next season.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see for next season, but at the moment, Lando Norris is thoroughly beating Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, I know they're saying, he needs time to get used to the car, but there's getting used to the car and then there's struggling for a whole season, and it's looking like Daniel Ricciardo is heading to struggling for a whole season territory rather than getting used to a new car and a new team. Which is sad to see because Daniel Ricciardo is definitely one of the best talents we've had in Formula 1 in recent years, but everyone reaches their peak as an athlete and everyone comes down for it, and he's not that old really, but he may be past his peak. He came into F1 quite young, he's been doing it for 10 years, so he may just be tired, need a break, that sort of thing maybe. But another driver looking very strong and definitely beating his teammate is George Russell. Second time coming close to a points finish in the second of the 2 Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. George Russell P10 until about 2 laps from the end, wasn't it, when Fernando
Alonso overtook him and apologised. He said if it was anyone else he wouldn't mind, but as it was Russell he was quite disappointed, so he really wanted him to get a point, but he just went for the move anyway and stole the points from Russell.
Yeah, I mean, Alonso scored something like 1,800 points and George has only scored 3 on his debut with Mercedes when he was cruelly snatched, that win was cruelly snatched away from him. But it was really, really quite heartbreaking to see for George, especially as he was running in a stronger position in the Styrian Grand Prix, but Williams had a technical failure. But I think only time is going to make the difference to when George scores his points. He's had 3 P11 finishes total, so I think George, a bit of luck and just some fast driving, because he is an incredibly fast driver, and I think George is going to score those long deserved points. But now it is time to actually predict what happens in the British Grand Prix. That's what we're here for. So in qualifying, I think that Max Verstappen is going to get pole position, with Lewis Hamilton taking P2 and Lando Norris in P3. Verstappen, as I said, he seems to be running away with it at the moment, and Mercedes have been struggling in terms of pure pace compared to Max Verstappen. And Lando Norris P3, well, as I said, McLaren are looking fast and Lando Norris is really, really driving that car well, so I think Lando Norris, especially in qualifying, he's been doing quite well recently. Lando Norris P3. Dylan, what do you think?
I think Hamilton will get pole. I think he might be able to find some pace in Silverstone. He seems to be really strong here in the past few years, and also he's a Brit, so I obviously want him to get in the front row at least. I think Verstappen will come second. He will probably get pole, but I want Hamilton, so I think Verstappen will just trail behind slightly. I think Lando will get third. As Ed said, he's got pretty good pace, getting second last weekend in Austria. I think he'll be able to carry on, hopefully get another front row, maybe, and that'll be nice to see if he can get his second front row in a row maybe, or even further, get pole position. Unlikely, but it could happen if Verstappen crashes or something.
Yeah, powered by the British fans, British driver, British fans. Maybe Lando Norris gets P1. And remember, for this race in Silverstone, they're trialing something different. So there's sprint qualifying, which basically what's happening is we've got practice 1 on Friday, then the qualifying we're predicting now, then practice 2 on Saturday morning, and then sprint qualifying in the afternoon, which is a half an hour race. Which the grid for that is set by qualifying on Friday, and the grid for Sunday's race is set by the finishing order
It's too complicated.
of sprint qualifying. It's quite complicated.
Just
so
keep
basically,
as it is.
I'm quite interested to see it, but I can see where Dylan is coming from. It's just saying too complicated, keep it as it is. But basically, you set the grid for something to set the grid for the race, and there's 2 races, and there's 2 practice sessions rather than 3. But this qualifying is actually for actual qualifying on Friday evening. And now on to race predictions, not sprint qualifying race, the actual race. I think that Max Verstappen is going to win that, with Lewis Hamilton in P2 and Sergio Perez pipping Lando Norris from his grid spot of P3, using that Red Bull's pace and taking a double podium for Red Bull in P3. Dylan, what do you think?
I think Verstappen will snatch the win from Hamilton. I think he's got a lot better race pace than Hamilton, as seen in Austria. Hamilton will hopefully get P2 and followed by his teammate in P3. He did get second in Austria, so maybe his losing streak is ending at last, and maybe try and get back on the podium. Another win would be nice for Bottas before he gets kicked out and makes room for Russell. So it'd be nice to see him to get back on the win.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, I think everyone's pretty confident that Valtteri Bottas is going to get dropped from Mercedes and George Russell is going to replace him. I mean, he's been driving very, very well in that Williams this year. So I think that might be confirmed over the summer break in August, after the Hungarian Grand Prix, the one after this. But obviously, this is all prediction, and we're just going to have to see how it turns out over the 3 days. Slightly different format this time of the British Grand Prix. We'll be back for post-race content, but for now, I've been Ed.
And I've been Dylan. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.